Fat shaming has become a favorite pastime of many internet trolls. In the era of the internet and relentless tabloid media, it's emerged as some kind of cruel sport. But I don't want to talk about cruelty here. I want to discuss the ignorance of fat shaming and expose the true misinformation that people have who engage in it. And before I begin, I should mention that pointing out the ignorance of the ignorant is one of my favorite pastimes. So I'm looking forward to this. Imagine for a moment that you're 7 feet tall. You're at home with your spouse, who is 5'5". You're busy in the kitchen cooking a 4-course meal, but suddenly realize you need something from the top of a cabinet in the living room, and you need it now. You ask your spouse to get it for you, but the top of the cabinet is 8 feet off the floor. Your spouse tries, but after just a few moments of strain and struggle, you impatiently charge into the room. You reach the object effortlessly, just before grumbling, "What is wrong with you?" and storming out of the room. Would you react this way? Probably not, but we've just peeked into the twisted mind of a fat shamer. We have person A, who has a genetic advantage towards reaching a certain type of goal, and we have person B, who can eventually achieve it as well, but it will take more time, more struggle, and perhaps even a very different method of solving the problem. But person A, rather than empathizing, simply refuses to acknowledge the natural differences. From this perspective, person B must be too lazy, weak, or stupid to do what they can do effortlessly. Since the 1940s, the fitness industry has understood that there are 3 different body types. There are ectomorphs, mesomorphs, and endomorphs. In a nutshell, the ectomorph is the thinnest of the 3, with a lightning-fast metabolism, small appetite, and genetic inability to really gain fat or muscle. The mesomorph can easily gain muscle or fat, but can also shed the pounds without much work. The endomorph is the ectomorph's direct opposite, with a wider and thicker frame and a very slow metabolism. The endomorph can pack on the pounds quickly, but has a bit of trouble going in reverse. Now, some people like to dispute that these body types exist, believing that anyone who isn't stick figure thin is simply making bad lifestyle choices. Yet, we all know ectomorphs who eat every bit as poorly and live every bit as sedentarily as the other body types, but they never display much visible fat, even as they age. But notice I said visible fat, hinting at a delicious irony that many fat shamers probably don't know. While many of these trolls may be thin, that doesn't mean they're any more healthy, because the skinny fat person is real and common. In fact, according to Dr. Robert Lustig, author of the book Fat Chance, about 40% of thin people have the same insulin resistance and metabolic diseases that come with it as many who are visibly overweight. There's real danger in ignorance and arrogance. And, of course, there are endomorphs who are perfectly healthy and not overweight, though they still get tagged as such in our stick-figure-obsessed society. So, both ectomorphs and mesomorphs have a genetic advantage when it comes to losing weight, and some are quite snotty about it. And to those, here's another reason why you're ignorant. In recent years, genes are starting to be identified that help explain both body types and food addictions. One study found that a gene called Norexin-3 may trigger a compulsion to overeat, and is found in 20% of the human population. Another recent study identified a gene called Plexin D1, which controls where fat is stored in the body and how fat cells are shaped, and appears to contribute to an apple or pear-shaped figure in humans. And here's a final reason why fat shamers come off so badly. It's always easier to randomly point fingers than to take the effort to find the underlying cause and fight against it. especially when the true causes are obscenely powerful food companies and supposedly trusted institutions that benefit enormously when we're misinformed. For example, it's easier for a fat shamer to blame someone for spilling over their seat on an airplane than to protest the long list of food companies over several decades that have dubbed their products low fat while loading them with sugar and other fattening ingredients. Or to protest companies like Coca-Cola, which, in just the past 15 years, has paid scientists to say sugary drinks are okay, has paid off the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, and has bribed dietitians to deceitfully promote Coke as part of a healthy diet. Because, of course, in order for them to do that, they would have to get educated. And there's nothing a troll hates more than an education. But there is one thing that many of us need to own up to. As ugly as the words from fat shamers can be, they often pale in comparison to what we tell ourselves. The best thing you can do is to keep striving towards a healthier lifestyle while cutting yourself a bit of slack in the genetically random and processed food-filled world we live in.